republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda and consent agenda as an order of business.
So moved.
Second.
Anything that anybody wants to have taken off to be discussed separately? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
And then let's approve the consent agenda. We'll need a motion and a second, which includes the minutes of our August 20th meeting, the financial report from July 1st through August 31st, and the bills for this the month of August in the amount of $3,057,045.78. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
We've got our board and district leadership team strategic planning, and the first item there is a legislative update. Dr. Dassow.
We did have our first legislative breakfast yesterday, and it was at Lewisburg Middle School. So I thank our legislators and everyone for coming. Right now, there's really not a lot happening in the legislative branch. Actually, what they have told us is that there's going to only be a few sessions in October and November combined. Very limited due to passing of the budget and the upcoming elections, because we just passed the biennial budget. There are a few education bills that are starting to be moving forward into public hearings. One related to teacher prep programs, one to declining enrollment districts, and one for emergency exemptions for instructional hours for high-performing school districts. None of those are, at real high alerts for us at this point, but we were able to have a good talk about our priorities going forward and what we're concerned about, where we would like to see. And probably right now our top priority is special education funding. And so as a group, we've sort of said that's one of the things that we really do want to start to focus on with our legislative team. So it was really a very first introductory meeting and stuff, but again, I can't say enough about the fact that our legislators they work with us, they listen to us, and we have some strong, very good conversations, so that's good. Yes.
Very good. We want to review the financial pillar of excellence. John Miller, you have some information for us on that?
Well, we did review this at the committee of the whole. For the audience at home and those in the room, I can go through quickly the performance of last year's notes, as well as some of the new strategies we've added for 2019-20 and beyond. Under the budget future state, we had several items last year. We experienced a significant double-figure health insurance rate increase for our renewal. Through the budgeting process, negotiating, we developed a plan which allows the least degradation of services but offers significant value of the plan, and only became a cost increase of 4.7% to us. This past year, the state increased the revenue limit by $300 per student. This allowed us to maintain all of our existing programs, add some new staff, some of which were offset by cut in 8 hours, and work on new site for alternative education, as well as minor adjustments in professional and support staffing. This year, we implemented our first fully implemented building-based budget, which was required by the state and by the feds. This changed our budgeting process and a lot of the procedures in our office, and we are just at the point of reporting out on that to the state, and I believe we'll do so successfully in the next couple of weeks. This was also last year was also the first year in memory where the district did not have to utilize short-term borrowing, which has been one of the long-term goals of the district. Within the employee, another strategy that we looked at under this was developing an employee benefit trust for use of our surpluses. That report was written last year, but it was not put into action because other budget priorities took place, but is on our 1920 strategies and beyond. We also looked at utilizing electronic collections. We piloted that in our food service program, first within one building, then across the district. That went very well. And this fall, you saw for the first time you could pay your school fees online. Probably 8 or 9 different fees that were available at the different schools. That process is just underway, but seems to be going pretty well. Within our food service and community ed pillar, they are supposed to be becoming self-sustaining entities. Neither one had the greatest year last year. Food service was hurt a bit by our 9 less days of school, so they didn't have that number of days of service. Similarly, our community education had some of their days lost to weather, as well as they had utilized a portion of their funds for capital improvements, so neither one showed a profit for the past year. And to move forward, we just started to look at the fees within community ed and hopefully to improve that situation going forward. We also increased milk prices for the food service program. Under the district will work with other organizations to acquire, share, and find additional revenue. The business office developed a method of tracking grants, mini grants, and other outstanding funding that came to the district, so we could give more immediate reporting to the teachers and administrators who were administering those programs and those donated or received funds. We utilized the safety grant in a big way in the first year, spending over 95% of the proceeds from Safety Grant 1, and we just started working with Safety Grant 2, which is the second year of that program, which has over $100,000 budgeted in the current year budget. Finally, our building project has started to generate some opportunities, and that will create some strategies going forward. And we also began researching the new requirement for activity accounting. DPI is mandating that we do major changes to how we report, accumulate data, and do accounting on student activity funds, and that's just started underway. Another strategy we had last year was to bid, contract, and finance the approved capital projects we had. This largely dealt with the referendum. Last year we secured all referendum dollars through the bonding process. We utilized an outside vendor that could provide us with higher interest rates to make money on the funds while they are idle before they are spent on the project. That's going very well. Obviously, we spent lots of hours in meetings executing the building plans and developing various contingencies as how we can spend more money perhaps on furniture, fixtures, and equipment, which are somewhat short within our referendum dollars allocated by the project budget. Finally, a strategy was to review new state and federal initiatives and votes to gauge the Plymouth School District influence in the state legislature. And as Carrie just reported, our board continues to participate with the local legislatures. We also participate in the Wisconsin Association of School Boards and with our legislators and lobbyists to promote Plymouth School District interests. As we move forward into the 1920 strategies and beyond, some of these have been slightly altered from what they were in the past. We will continue to offer budget recommendations, and next year, again, we will review the possibility of trust funds for either a employee benefits trust or a long-term capital projects trust, if the funding allows and if it makes good sense for the district to put money aside for those long-term investments of the district. And we right now, again, are implementing the fee side of the electronic payment system, and we'll evaluate how our food service is done during the course of this year and see what kind of impact that may have had in terms of like collecting balances that due and those kind of issues. For food service and community ed, the community ed is already looking again at the fee structure revamping, and we will evaluate the budget performance of those two entities. Within the other organizations, 3 strategies were developed. One was to develop a process for sponsorships for fundraising or memorial contributions. Right now, we kind of have I call it a scattershot process where they just sort of come in and we deal with each one individually, try and systematize that process of how they come in and how we use them. We would research both public and private grant opportunities to enhance revenue, put a greater emphasis on that within the business office, and need to restructure our activity accounts, as mentioned before, that the DPI is requiring us to do, which will be another systematic change that's needed in our business office. Further, within the fully funded maintenance operating plan, we will continue to bid, contract, and finance the referendum project. But as that moves along, it becomes important again to look at our other buildings, our grounds and whatnot, in terms of both the maintenance and perhaps the energy efficiency and renewable energy sources, that opportunities that may be available to us, and try and utilize both funding and strategies to improve building performance. And finally, with the Board of Education, again, interested in influencing legislation and taxes and whatnot, the district will again review the state and federal initiatives and look to make their influences when they can. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we discussed at the Committee of the Whole. If anyone would have any questions, comments, I guess that's my report.
Thank you, John. Any comments or questions? Very good. Well, let's go on to professional development update. And know what's going on in professional development.
And this is your former activity. We just to remind everybody, we made a change to one of the committee structures at the board level. We've taken the PDC, the Professional Development Council, which was formerly reported on by a board member on a regular basis, to do more of a quarterly report, because it was, and Richard talked about this as well, that professional development in the school district is kind of what we're about and how we grow, and it's so much part of every fiber of our culture that a weekly report on it was getting, or a monthly report on it was getting a little bit redundant. So we thought a quarterly report with the highlights and some of the big issues that are out there would be a good way to go about it. So this is just the first of those quarterly reports. So I'll just start with summer, just so that everybody knows teachers love summer, partly because they love to get after their curriculum and development for things for the following year, when they can really focus and get together in teams and work together. We encourage this, and we provide incentives for teachers to do this. And so over the course of last summer, we had thousands of hours of work put in by the majority of our educators, developing things like new units, digging into new resources to help each other, taking leadership opportunities, a myriad things that all come through my office and are kind of aligned with what our building goals and our district pillars are pushing towards, and any kind of new updates that we're having with resources. So during summer, they're having a great time working together. It was a little bit tricky this summer because there was only a couple places where they could get together, and buildings were, finding a place to go was a little bit more of a challenge, but flexibility and learning new things is good for everybody. So summer was great again. This has been an ongoing practice in the district for many, many years. Then when we kicked off the school year this year, we had our professional development days, and many of those days are spent in activities such as prepping for the first few weeks of school with the materials that you have or new resources that have come in over the course of summer. But this year was a little bit special because we went to Howard's Grove, and we got to, and the teachers got to see a speaker by the name of Dave Weber, who has a really excellent presentation that teachers have been raving about since we went. But it's about things like culture and organizational norms and individuals' roles in making sure that that's positive, and also, and it's all based on relationships. So the relationships that teachers and people in the district build with children, and the relationships that they build with each other and the community, and how that is such a integral part in making your own life better, making the people around you's life better, making the organization better, and plus he was just really funny and got people engaged. And so many people have commented since then about that was really kind of a highlight for the kickoff of the year. So that was wonderful. And then, as you're aware, like in those first 4 days, all the work that's getting done, goal setting and all of that. But also, this was the first year where we kicked off the ability to use our Who Knew It system to do some of those compliance types of things that every teacher has to. The example is bloodborne pathogens training. Every year you have to do bloodborne pathogens training, and it's a DPI module. And previously, we had done things like nurses presenting, everybody in the auditorium, to then having individuals do it on the DPI site, but then every building had to collect all that information and click it off and keep track. And so now with our Who Knew It site, most of those compliance things are in one location. Teachers can go through, staff members can go through, do the work that they need to do. It's recorded on the site. It's sent to a spreadsheet that the principals have instantly. They know who they have in their building, whether it's done or not done, and they can help make sure that it's completed. Plus, teachers no longer need to do that. Staff members no longer need to do that during a school meeting time. They can actually do it in summer, so it's great. That was the first go around of that. And then so this Friday was our first, this last Friday was our first professional development day, and all the work that was done in the summer really came to fruition now that people are back together. So for example, lots of people worked on, I'll just give you a couple examples. At the middle school, lots of people, we've done our first year of using the Bridges resources for our mathematics program, and the members of the leadership groups, math leaders in the different buildings, spoke all summer, talked about what they needed to do, how they can modify it. They've had a year of experience with it. And so I sat in and watched a group of teachers led by teacher leaders, the leadership positions, talk about how they can use our different sources of data, from Bridges to iReady and all of that, and create opportunities and goals and pathways for every individual kid on their class list after, 3 weeks of school. They know where they are, they know what they need, they have a pathway, and they know now the resources that they can apply to try to get those kids to where they would love them to get. So it's really focused professional development on student achievement. And I'll just bring it back to the relationship part of it, the whole Dave Weber thing. Because everybody, I think, and the principals were there, and we had the same thing going on in the elementary with our ELA things, and because everybody's on a level playing field. Some people may have more expertise, they're more senior, they're in the leadership positions, but they're all sitting around, like in U-shaped tables like this, and they're having these conversations and sharing how each of them did it last year and how some of the best examples can be applied to the rest of the group. I'll just give you a quick example of that. One of our teachers made a playlist for activities related for each one of their kids last year, that in a time when she might be working with other children, she would say, okay, everybody go to your playlists and get to this section, and the kids would click on it. They'd have an opportunity to work on something, and then they would, she would go around and work with the other children. And so people are going, well, that's really cool. Show me how to set it up. And everybody is taking their kids, looking at all their information, and setting things up just like that for no matter where you are in your learning curve of math. But every kid's got a plan. So it was just, and people are happy and smiling and saying this is awesome. And so she feels really great. And the people that were kind of figuring out, like, how am I going to do this, feel better because they're grounded in something. So kind of that whole organizational positive vibe comes back to fruition because the people are really focused on student achievement as this driving focal point around which they're having fun developing plans and things. So it was that's kind of why PD is in our heartbeat, and it's really important that we're going to keep it that way. And I'll just keep on presenting these quarterly updates, and hopefully they were as good as they were in this first Friday PDA. There was some of the most focused conversation about specific learning for kids that we've seen in a long time. So it was good. Any questions or comments?
Plymouth really leads the way in professional development when you look at, certainly our region, maybe our state. It's one thing that we do really, really well, and we've taken it to even a higher level now.
I think yep, people like doing it. Feel good about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. All right, let's go down to the finance, building, and grounds. We have the 2020 budget that will be officially published for the annual meeting, and we'll go back to John Miller on that.
Sure. In your board packet was this document, which is the budget we were asking approval for, which tonight. And what kind of went through this at the committee of the whole, where you didn't have the general fund and special projects funds available to you at that point. I'll go through the other budgets rather quickly. The community service fund looks like it's in a world of hurt, but there is over $260,000, I believe, of capital projects in their spending, much of which is, part of which is within our new facility over there, putting in the showers and the furniture and whatnot. So that's really drawing down their fund balance. That's kind of by design, but again, we're looking at the fees in that area. Food service has projected another small drawdown. We're hoping to change that during the course of the year. The capital projects fund is, in fact, the referendum spending, where we will spend down likely 80% of the funds this year. Most of the projects should be done by June 30th next year, with a bit of summer work to go. The debt service fund is a simple fund of levying and paying the debt down by the terms of the loan agreements that we've made in past in years prior. The special projects fund is the total spending of special education programs in our district. That fund is forced to balance because there's always a transfer from the general fund of about, I believe, about $2.9 million this year to support those programs, but the remainder is paid for by state funds and federal funds. And finally, the general fund balance changed slightly from what you saw in your budget report at the committee of the whole. We did go through and evaluate to the greatest degree possible all of the open enrollment students, both in and out. That didn't really change that deficit all that much. We also discovered that there are more students attending the 4K Generations program, which we also pay for as a district. So that budget had to be increased. So our deficit now sits at just around $250,000. Again, we'll probably adjust that again before the final budget is set, when we have a true student count, which happens this Friday, as well as or some other numbers that we need to determine the tax levy, which again is on the back page. There's a proposed tax levy in the one you'll also see on your annual meeting cover of $12.9 million, but that is based on the June 1st state aid estimate, which is always changed later, and hopefully we'll have that amount by the annual meeting, perhaps not, but that will help us determine more accurately the exact tax levy, but that really is the only part of that that seems to be missing at this point.
Any questions on the proposed budget? All right, well, let's go down to the facilities project update. Bob, Travis, what?
Actually,
We
have
actually need
to-
an approval.
you-
but-
you
Oh,
have
we
to
need to,
approve.
we actually have to approve that?
So we
You
can
have to
publish.
approve it so it
You
can be
adopt the
published for the
budget.
annual meeting.
Okay. Well, do we have a motion to approve the budget?
Adopt it.
To
Approve
adopt
the
it?
adoption of it.
motion to approve the adoption of it?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed say no. Thank you. Bob, what can you tell us about the facilities project?
Facilities, well, things are starting to be put back together, so that's good, right? We're gonna start with Fairview. Fairview has the longest road to go yet, but, thanks to the patience of the parents, of the staff, of the administrative team over there, it's all coming together, and we really appreciate everyone's cooperation. We're gonna be climbing over things and walking through things for a while, but it's all good. And special thanks then to Salem UCC. We've mentioned that congregation before, but they have collaborated with us, and we're sharing their space, and that's really been a godsend to have their help. So many thanks to them. Beyond that, the Fairview should start to really come together and everything be completed toward end of first quarter. So end of March, that time frame. I think that's when things will come together. Yes, Nick, or what's that? Okay, semester. Okay, all right. So, it's coming together, but it's a ways away. Parkview is on a shorter time frame. They're actually moved into their office, or moving into their offices on Friday. And then the cafeteria should be ready to go in 2 or 3 weeks, with the gym following after that. So that's really coming together. And again, thank you to the parents and staff and everyone else for their patience, and we're getting there. The real exciting part is what we also see right out here. The multipurpose center is coming together. The science rooms down the hall, we start to move into those into September, and then the weeks following. Lots of coordination, lots of listening to what the teachers have to say about where students are going. But thank you for everyone for the communication and the cooperation. Multipurpose, we're going to have a preview, right? A preview after the parade on homecoming weekend. So after the parade, we invite the community to come out, take a look at the multipurpose facility. I did have the opportunity to walk through with some other facilities people, and it's pretty cool. So it's very exciting, and you should put it in your calendar and come in and take a look. It'll really be ready to go. What are we looking at to be able to move in and actually use the facility? Any idea what?
Sometime in October.
November.
Yeah, sometime in October. There are a few things back ordered and stuff, but
The time is near, so.
we are getting there.
And the parking is getting there, right? Weather permitting, so. So anyway, that's really the report on facilities. And again, thank you to everyone in the community and really everyone involved for their investment and as well as their cooperation.
Very good. Any questions? Well, we have a very generous community, and Dr. Dassow, can you talk about some of the gifts that we've received?
Yep, tonight we have 2 gifts. A donation of $3,011.70 from Horizon Path for student transportation, and a $100,000 donation from an anonymous donor to enhance the aesthetics in the Plymouth High School addition. So it'd be recommended that we accept those and their corresponding budget adjustments.
I recommend we accept it, and thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'll second that.
Any comments, questions? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. I don't believe anybody has signed in for speaking in the public participation part of the meeting, so let's go down to the board liaison reports. Sally, what's happening in community education?
We met a couple weeks ago. We actually met over at the youth center this time, and we had 3 new visitors come to the meeting to check us out, and at the end they decided to join. the committee of community ed, so that was exciting. We took a walk around outside of the youth center and around Riverview. We saw where the kayak launch area will be placed. Not where the one is that they use at Riverview right now, but this one is much closer to the youth center. Notice that there's frisbee golf around Riverview. And also the huge octoball or gaga ball. It's called the same thing by different people, but I guess that gets a lot of use. And the youth center actually belongs to the city, not to the school district. In the youth center, if you haven't been there for a long time, which I had not, there's some wonderful paintings on the wall that Field Layman had kids help with. Really, really neat paintings. And if you want to go by, it's open every day after school for, how late is it open? An hour? Till 5. Hop on in and take a look at the wonderful paintings that they did together. They also have garden beds, technically at each school. Also at the youth center, they're going to, it's a very old building, if you didn't know that. So the kitchen and countertops, cupboards, stoves going to be updated. And then we had nominations for the community ed committee. And Charlie Hansen is once again our president, Kyle Peterson's vice president, and I'm secretary. And once again, we talked about the preview at the new building here. We also did talk about, after homecoming that is, we did talk about possibly having a tennis ball / pickle court put over at Riverview, where not where the soccer are, but over on the west side of where the soccer kids practice for the soccer. Let me see if I missed anything. Okay, any questions? Okay, that's it.
Oh, very good. Thank you for that. Bob, what's happening in the foundation?
Foundation, we did meet. Mini grants have started up again for the fall semester, so staff can apply for a mini grant. These are smaller grants that we provide to the teaching staff. They go through an approval process, but it's up to $500. They can go toward some form of enhancement in the classroom in the schools. We've had some great application over the past year, and actually received our first application and granted for a monarch garden. It's just a great little project, and again, exciting stuff. The regular grants, this year we're doing something different. We've broken it into 2 sections, and that allows teachers to apply for the larger grant for the fall semester, basically to be implemented in spring. And then again, we'll have a second opening of the grants, depending if how much money is left over, and those will then be able to execute in the following fall. So the fall deadline is December 1st to get those applications in, and again, those applications can be found on the foundation website. Other than that, the foundation will be, members of the foundation will be helping out for the preview, so you can, if you come to the preview, you'll also see foundation members in action. That's all I have.
Do you know where that monarch garden would be located?
The monarch garden is at
Isn't that Parkview?
Horizon, right? No, Fairview. I don't remember. No, I should know. You caught me.
Sorry. Sorry.
No, it's not the, it's not the secret garden, but I know where the secret garden is now.
Right.
It's
yeah.
a secret.
Well, bring it back next month.
I will bring it back.
Because that's exciting.
I
Who
just
doesn't
read
love-
the, yeah,
you know?
it's
Yeah.
a great application. So.
Thank you, Bob. Jamie, what's going on in the Family Resource
All
Center?
right.
Okay, Family Resource Center. All sorts of good things. Of course, the tutor program is alive and well. Anyone interested in tutoring or needs tutoring for English language, contact the Family Resource Center and sign up. But I'm just going to highlight a few of the different things that are going on. Their list is long, and most of these activities are free, and they're perfect learning experiences for your little ones, 2.5 to 4 years old, and as well as even smaller. And then there's also a few things for the older kids. But basically, they still have their little learners and little movers. So every Wednesday of the month, there's a free activity from 9:30 to 10:30 at Generations. It starts. The first Wednesday is Little Learners, second Wednesday is Little Movers, but then they added Little Builders, which basically is built around building blocks and getting your kids involved with that type of activity. And then Little Naturalists, which get them outside and kind of connected to the environment. So that's all free, no pre-registration. If you want more information, call or visit the website. They're having developmental screenings again this year in the fall in two areas. They're going to have them in Sheboygan as well as at Generations. The first set is starting September 25th, and that'll be in Sheboygan, 8 to 12 and then 3 to 7. That does require pre-registration, but it's absolutely free. 6 months to 5 years. You're encouraged to attend and just see where your child is developmentally. At Generations, it's going to be October 10th from 3 to 6, and then also October 11th from 8 until 12. So 2 different time frames. Hopefully everyone will be able to make that around work schedules and whatnot. Also, fall parenting, the Love and Logic way. That's a little bit geared toward older kids, parents that are maybe having some challenges with working with their older kids, giving you some other tools. There is a fee for that, and it does require registration. It'll be held at Lake Country Academy in Sheboygan. It's $40, which is reasonable. It's 4 separate sessions, and it includes the workbook. Also, they have childcare available, so childcare should not be an issue if you'd like to attend that. A couple other fun things. There's this squishy. They're having kind of a Halloween thing in October. That's fun. It's called Squishy Sensations, made for 8 to 24-month-olds from 10 to 11 at Generations. There's a small fee for that, $5. They're going to have craft and gift bake in November, then November 4th. And of course, never too early to talk about Christmas. Breakfast with Santa's coming up December 7th.
What?
I know.
It's too early.
It's right around the corner. So put it on your calendars. Please check the website for more information. It's a lot of wonderful things to do to get your kids out and do something new. That's it.
Thank you. What a wonderful education partner we have in Family Resource Center.
Absolutely.
So that brings us to personnel. We do need to approve one contract, and then we have a number of support staff updates.
Yep, tonight we're asked that you approve a 100% contract for Jacqueline Navis to be a STEAM teacher at Riverview Middle School. Jacqueline received her bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. Jacqueline previously taught in Cedar Grove, Belgium School District, and this will be her 15th year of teaching.
Do we have a motion and second to approve her contract?
I make a motion we approve the contract.
Second.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Okay. We don't need to approve the support staff update, but could you bring us up to date?
I can, and this is the time of the year when we have a long list because we just got done hiring and filling positions. First of all, Joanne Dvorak, server cook at Riverview Middle School, has resigned. Joanne has served the district for 1 year. Rebecca Gilbreth, special education aide at Fairview Elementary School, has resigned. Rebecca has served the district for 1 year. Gabrielle Kramer, special education aide at Fairview Elementary School, has resigned. Gabrielle has served the district for 1 year. Elizabeth Lau, special education aide at Horizon Elementary School, has resigned, and Elizabeth has served the district for 2 years. Linda Reichert, special education aide at Horizon Elementary School, has resigned. Linda has served the Plymouth School District for 3 years. And Lori Strantz, special education aide at Horizon Elementary School, has resigned. I'm sorry, Lois. And Lois has served the Plymouth School District for 5 years. Deborah Birnbaum has been hired as a special education aide at Riverview Middle School. Barb Scherschel has been hired as a special education aide at Fairview Elementary School. Kyle Johnson has been hired as a special education aide at Riverview Middle School. Melissa Conrad has been hired as a special education aide at Horizon at Plymouth High School. Rachel Miller has been hired as a special education aide at Plymouth High School. Mariah Oslos has been hired as a special education aide at Parkview Elementary School. Jacqueline Smith has been hired as a special education aide at Fairview Elementary School. Jody Lubach has been hired as a custodian at Riverview Middle School. Stephanie O'Malley has been hired as a server cook at Riverview Middle School. Laurel Red Cloud has been hired as a server cook at Fairview Elementary School. Stephanie Shermer has been hired as a server cook at Fairview Elementary School. Doris Schnell has been hired as a server cook at Fairview Elementary School. And Danielle Grant has been hired as a server cook at Parkview Elementary School. So I believe we are full, right? We're good.
Is the O'Malley, it's a cook?
It is.
Is that part of the D. O'Malley family?
It is.
Good. Wonderful. Thank you. We have a travel request.
Yeah.
And could you share with us about that, Dr. Gassau?
So we do have one request to travel, and that's from Tracy Heinbrich, PHS AGRA, a science teacher. And her request is to travel with the students to Indianapolis, October 29th to November 2nd, 2019, for the National FFA Convention. And this request is consistent with the guidelines in board policy, and the expenses will be the responsibility of the students and the families.
We have a motion and a second to approve that travel request.
I make a motion that we let Tracy take her students to Indianapolis, October 29th through the 2nd for the National FFA Convention.
Second.
Any comments or questions about
How
that?
many students do we know?
How many students, Jennifer?
I'm not sure if they have a
Count, yeah.
yet, but it's usually
Yeah.
probably 30 plus, pretty strong FFA membership.
Yeah, it's a great group.
It is.
It is a good group.
Very good. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
For the, we have nothing from the consent agenda, so we go down to the president's report, and the three things I'd like to report out. One is accountability is one of the 5 functions that we as a school board should be regularly engaged in. We are elected by our community, and so we have a responsibility to the community for the use of tax dollars and to create a first-class education system. And so that's our first area of responsibility. We have an accountability to the students of the district to be able to provide an education that's going to prepare them for their post-high school education and activities. So it's our responsibility to see that that happens. And then there's a couple ways in which we hold the members of the school district responsible. And the primary way we do that is through the superintendent. We've hired her as the CEO, who then we hold her accountable for the progress of the school district. And the employees for continuous improvement through their professional development. When Dan Mello was talking about the wonderful things that have been happening in professional development over the last summer and up till the present, he said the aim of it all is student achievement. And that's, our goal is that our students, and we believe that best is going to happen as each one of the employees, support staff, administration, those educating directly in the classroom, all are working at becoming better at what they're becoming their very best at it, and they do that through professional development. And so I think we're very pleased as a school board that there is so much professional development going on, and of course the aim of all of that is that our students would have better opportunities and would achieve within those opportunities. So that's the function of accountability that we have, and that our job here as a school board is. And in doing our job well, one of the things that we've talked about is doing an assessment of how we are functioning as a board. And you'll be getting some information from Dr. Dassau probably within the next week, where we'll be asked as school board members to go online and take an assessment of ourselves in specific areas, saying how are we doing our job, and how are we setting this school district up for success by what we do. And then based on the feedback or really the results we get from that, from your input, and if you, when you get that, if you would, we have kind of a short turnaround time, if you would respond to that, and then we will have some stuff to look and say, okay, here's, holding ourselves accountable, so here's how we're doing. So that's a second thing. The third thing is the homecoming parade. We do have a float again in that for the administration and the school board, and we'll meet, that float will be along Main Street, somewhere near St. John's Lutheran School, about 3:15. You can come anytime thereafter. We encourage you to wear spirit wear if you have some of that, and it's really a wonderful time for us to just enjoy out of the direct educational environment time together. And we always like to hand out candy. This year they have kind of toughened up the rules. They've always told us we can't throw candy, and this year if we throw candy, we get yanked off of the parade route, and it wouldn't be good for us as a school board to be the very first ones to demonstrate that. And there also could be a $50 fine, so they're getting.
Maybe we can throw marshmallows.
They don't hurt. Let's not try
I'm
anything.
teasing.
So we go up and we hand it to the children, but do bring candy along, because it's just a tradition and it's a wonderful part of it. And between Dan Steinert and Tony Backus and Bob Travis, they've put together a plan, and various ones are working on things. The float, or the homecoming theme, is out of this world, and so we've got a really nice plan here that they're creating for our homecoming float. So that's the third thing that I wanted to report on. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Dassel.
Thank you. So all of our fall activities are off to great starts. Some highlights and upcoming events for this fall with our activities is the volleyball team that won the Green Bay East Invite on August 29th. The girls tennis team is in first place in our conference right now. The cross country will be hosting the Panther Relays on Tuesday, September 24th. I love that event. The girls swim and dive will be hosting their invite on Saturday, September 28th. The homecoming celebration and football game will be on Friday, September 27th. And the fall play will be October 17th through the 20th. So mark your calendars, that's always a nice time. I also want to, acknowledge the fact that we did receive a letter of thank you. Actually, one of our teachers did, and we were carbon copied. So this is a letter to Stacy Ross. She is a teacher over at Parkview Elementary School and Fairview. She works with both of the schools. This one says Parkview, so it does. I'm just going to read, because I think that it's really impressive when we have someone get to this level in our state. So, dear Ms. Ross, thank you for participating in the 2019 Forward Exam Item Review held July 23rd through the 26th. As Dan says, our teachers do a lot during the summertime. The Department of Public Instruction staff involved in facilitating this meeting were impressed with the level of sustained collaboration, engagement, and commitment demonstrated by each participant during these intensive meetings. Specifically, your expertise with regards to your students, content, and effective assessment practices manifested in a deep understanding of the characteristics of items best suited for inclusion on the Forward Exam. I deeply value your careful examination of each and every item to ensure alignment to our Wisconsin state standards. Furthermore, your thoughtful attention to the depth of knowledge, grade level appropriateness, universal design, and bias issues were invaluable to the item review process. Due to your efforts and contributions and that of your colleagues, DPI will be able to produce an effective assessment for children in Wisconsin that contributes one piece of our overall understanding of college and career readiness. So I think this is really important, because sometimes we have concerns about the way in which our students are assessed and the types of things that are on the assessments and whether or not they're appropriate. And instead of just complaining, it's important for us to get involved and try to make it better. And here's a really good example of one of our teaching staff who, with the experience and stuff that we have been able to gain from her, actually took it to another level and hopefully made it better for Plymouth kids and all kids in the state. So I think that's a really great thing. I also want to announce that Jason Sobranic and our German band will be actually highlighted at the music conference, the Wisconsin State Meeting Conference of October 23rd through the 26th. It really is a privilege to be able to be chosen as a band to be presenting at something like that. So congratulations to Jason and our German band. And then just a quick calendar of events. We have homecoming on the 27th. And then October 7th, please remember that the committee of the whole meeting will be at 5 o'clock. October 7th is the first Monday of the month. October happens to be the month where the second Monday and the third Tuesday go right next to each other. And so, as we have always done in the past, the first Monday of the month then becomes the committee of the whole meeting. So October 7th, committee of the whole meeting at 5 p.m. in room 109. And then October 15th, the annual meeting first at 7 p.m. And then our regular board meeting to follow. So that is it.
Very good, thank you. That completes our agenda. Do we have a motion to conclude the meeting?
I make a motion, we conclude the meeting.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
It's a new route for the cross country.